Efficiency will only take you so far. To be truly effective, you need to start with your people. Smartsheet helps enterprises better align people and technology so they can move faster, drive innovation, and achieve more. Smartsheet, the platform for enterprise achievement. Learn more at smartsheet.com.
Come on, bro.
You just knocked it down. Kill the solo.
Push it. Hang on. Keep it up. Go!
Does this scene sound familiar? If you're a parent or a gamer or a human living on planet Earth, you've probably heard of Fortnite.
Nice. Last guy's 32 Wyatt. We need to beat him this time.
Perhaps you've even had to vie for the attention of a loved one as they have eyes only for the screen.
Hey, gang.
Shoot, hold on.
I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Seems like you've been at this for at least a few hours now. Have you eaten anything today?
It's just this one level. We're just about to beat it.
Yeah, we're right there.
But what if a game like this wasn't just for fun? What if it wasn't actually a game at all, but rather a sophisticated project management tool that was communicating to your manufacturing plant in real time?
What level are you on?
Let me look it up. It's the Macmillan account. They got a purchase order for new semiconductors that we're trying to ship next week.
And in order to complete every level, you need real expertise, not just in joysticks and consoles, but in the underlying work processes at hand.
Level 6 corresponds to the packaging and die attachment at the plant. Here, give me the controller. You need to go back and find the golden nugget. That's the electroplating. Here it is, under this bridge.
You got it.
Okay, so going back to 32 Wyatt, now he can be beat.
Oh, because the factory can't test the die without the electroplating. Of course!
Come on, gang, let's get some lunch. You can tell Macmillan they're all set.
What if we told you that your work could be as fun as playing a game? And for every successful product you launch, you score 100 points or unlock a new tool or reach a new level? Now, what if we told you you were already playing? You just didn't realize it yet. Welcome to the Future of X from OZY Media. I'm Faye Schlesinger, Managing Editor of OZY, and this season, in partnership with Smartsheet, we're digging into the future of the workplace. On today's episode, we're going to look at what the future of work might look like if it were more like a game.
The average employee is currently productive for about 3 to 4 hours a day. 85% of employees are disengaged with their work.
Mark Stevenson is a futurist and author of An Optimist Tour of the Future. He also happens to be a comedian, but he's not joking about employee disengagement. He's talking about the recent findings from Gallup's State of the Global Workplace report.
Isn't it bizarre that work isn't enjoyable? I mean, how have we conspired, as human beings, to create a world where 85% of people dislike the work they do? I mean, think of the waste of productivity, the mental health burden. I mean, it's catastrophic.
So many of us dislike our jobs. Not me, obviously. Yet we can't stop talking about work.
So many people, when you ask them how they're doing, what's the first thing that they say?
Lisa Bedell is the CEO of FutureThink, a company that aims to help organizations strategize and innovate. In her mind, there's a competition that we play every day, whether we like it or not.
I say they're busy. Everyone's busy. They don't say they're good, they're great, they're busy. And everyone has this kind of busy off, that you're more busy than the next guy, because we think that that's value. But at the end of the day, and they're reflecting on what did they do today, it's hard for them to recall a lot of things of value. And we also now elevate everything to the same level of importance, right? Every email, every meeting, every phone call has to have some action or immediate response. There's kind of this false urgency that's happened. And, as a result of that, we are drowning in mundane work. We've put the value on doing more versus doing valuable.
But Bedell says it's a problem that can be fixed.
We've got to shift to thinking about the work that matters. And that's not a hard thing to convince people of, because everyone's drowning in complexity. Just imagine what you could do with the time you spend sitting in meetings or responding to emails, right? And if you could take that time and shift it to things that matter, how much more connected would you be to your work?
Sometimes shifting to spend time on things that matter and to be more connected with one's work just requires a little encouragement. To help fight employee disengagement, Stevenson suggests what he calls participation viruses.
What you do is you make the act of replication in and of itself enjoyable. So you want people to do something, there's a way of promoting that thing, make the thing that promotes that thing itself an enjoyable thing to do. And the example I always use is sex. So Mother Nature very sensibly made sex an enjoyable thing to do. Most of us would do it anyway. And that propagates the species. The act of replication is something that rewards us while we're doing it.
So how do we create participation viruses within a workplace? Sex may not be an option, but there is something else that people almost universally enjoy: play.
Human beings, kids, animals, so on and so forth, we intrinsically learn through play. We play games first. We simulate things that we're going to actually do in real life before we do them.
Keisha Howard is the CEO and founder of Sugar Gamers, a gaming platform focused on elevating new and diverse voices in gaming and tech.
Gamification is something that I believe just comes naturally to us all. So when something has like gamified components, like you get points or you can level up or there's some measurement where you can qualify or quantify your skills over time, there's something that's really fun about that. And as human beings, it allows us a very quick way to relate to one another.
And Howard says that one of the places that gaming environments can help improve our collaboration skills is in the workplace.
It's my hope that gamification will become intrinsic to the way we work. I can absolutely see like a game like Fortnite sort of teaching some sort of mechanic that's intrinsic to teamwork or something to that effect.
For those of you who've never played Fortnite before, it's a multiplayer survival video game in which 100 players fight to be the last one standing. It's a bit like participating in your own virtual Hunger Games from the comfort of your couch.
I think different games will be able to determine different skill sets. Take a game like an RPG. Most role-playing games, typically, especially the old school role-playing games, you usually had a team of 3 to 5 characters, and one was a fighter, and one is a healer, and one is a sorceress, and so on and so forth. And all of these people have a very different skill set that when they all come together in a team, they can be a very powerful force.
Which helps to teach us skills we often don't even realize we're learning. And that includes one skill in particular.
The most important thing that gamers learn is how to lose. And in life, in order to level up, in order to quickly solve problems, you have to be ready to take a loss. You got to take that L. And if you're not mentally able to cope with losing, it slows down your process to solving problems.
When you're playing a game, there's not as much pressure to perform perfectly. You can make mistakes and lose over and over again, all without shaking your confidence because everyone loses repeatedly.
That's the whole point, is to figure out what are the tools and the solutions that you have at your disposal to solve problems. As a gamer, I know that I'm just not going to be good at everything until I do it several times.
We all remember Mark Zuckerberg's famous motto, move fast and break things. And the truth is, as we lose and fail, we slowly perfect ourselves and improve the efficiency of the organizations we work within.
I do think that our ability to solve problems will become more efficient. So instead of waiting for just one very specific person to come up with solutions for problems, now we can sort of democratize problem solving. And so anyone who has an idea can contribute to it. The problem solving mechanic that gamers learn intrinsically is incredibly important. The ability to collaborate in a healthy way. There's so many parts of your brain that are stimulated in ways because you don't have the added pressure of like, this is real life.
This kind of practice dynamic can be useful in a variety of professions. When she was younger, Howard, a Chicago native, took the test to become a firefighter. It was a multiple-choice paper exam.
It was strange to take this test this way, especially a person that does come from a gaming background, that I'm just sort of using words to explain my aptitude to do something that's very physical.
Other virtual training games are already being used.
I just spoke to a flight controller. He said, yeah, Lisa, I always hire these gamers.
Lisa Lottelingzo is founding partner of Future Navigator, a consultancy based in Copenhagen which spots trends in technology.
You know, they spent 10,000 hours, practicing gaming, and they're so good at switching between listening and talking and writing and creating scenarios. I just love them as flight controllers. It's just to say that the future is not something really abstract. It's just around us.
Just think of your LinkedIn profile. Every time you log on, the machine tells you it's 80% complete, and if you add in your college, it will boost it to 90% and reach 5,000 more recruiters in your network. That's gamification. In the years ahead, gamification will not just continue to improve as a useful motivational tool. Gamers themselves could provide us with a model for the future of collaborative work. More on that when we come back.
Efficiency is great for saving money, but will only take you so far. To be truly effective as a business, you need to start with your people. Smartsheet aligns people and technology so they can plan, manage, and automate work, and stay focused on the big stuff, solving challenges and driving innovation. When everyone is working as one, they can move faster and achieve more. Maybe that's why Smartsheet is trusted by 90% of the Fortune 100. Smartsheet, the platform for enterprise achievement. Find out what you can achieve at smartsheet.com.
Gamification does today and will tomorrow represent, I think, a very expansive kind of new possibility, particularly for engaging folks around not just collaboration, but also around things that, quite frankly, are not that much fun, all right? They're not as engaging.
This is Dr. James Canton, the CEO and chairman of the Institute for Global Futures, a think tank based in San Francisco.
I do think the world of gamification in terms of work can represent a new area to kind of invigorate people for deeper collaboration. But again, you got to think about this as convergent technology. So think about gamification when you combine that with virtual reality, and you have avatars that you're interacting with in worlds that can be customized and personalized. Now that's the future of gamification, convergent technologies.
One result is what Canton calls a blended reality, one in which the objects in our physical reality interact with the virtual realities that are layered on top of them. Kind of like that Pokemon Go craze that swept the world.
Pokemon Go has been out for just 6 days and it's become a national addiction.
But it's not limited to actual games like Pokemon Go. Another example of blended reality being employed in the workplace is digital twins.
A digital twin is a digital simulation of an actual engine or manufacturing process. And the way you experience this and interact with it is through virtual reality.
Such technology could go beyond gaming altogether. It could in fact be used to allow doctors to actually operate on patients remotely.
You're talking about a whole new, again, category of work where you'll enter a virtual reality and actually conduct things that will have an impact in the physical, real world. 25% of our lives will be living in virtual reality and we'll be working in them, and that will be a work requirement for certain jobs.
Gamification and virtual worlds will be important in terms of engagement, training, and learning in the future of work, but its applications might be limited.
When it comes to work and tools we use at work, I think there are elements of gamification that make a lot of sense, and there are others that probably are not as relevant.
Jean Farrell is a Chief Product Officer at Smartsheet, which builds software tools for collaboration and project management.
The dangers or some of the watch-outs when you start to think about gamification, particularly when it comes to bringing them to work, is losing the seriousness and the the kind of the purpose of why folks are at work to begin with, right?
Ferrell says one risk about gamifying work is that people will get so caught up in the game or the contest that they basically lose focus on what they were actually trying to deliver for the business.
You need to think of gamification in the context of how does it promote the outcome I want, not become the outcome.
There's also the possibility that gamification will rub some employees up the wrong way.
There's a line where the gamification elements start to become either a complete turnoff or at a minimum, a nuisance. If you're in a real hurry to go get something done and you open your business tool and it asks you to complete, some task in order to get to the next level or unlock an emoji, at least me, I personally am going to be kind of ticked off because I need to get to whatever work it is I need to get done. And so I think there's a real risk of surfacing gamification elements maybe at the wrong time or in a way that's inappropriate that can be a turnoff.
And how receptive someone is to gamifying their work could well depend on their own background, including their age.
Millennials and Gen Z are much more receptive to achievement-based and more interactive types of gamification in their work apps. Whereas I think the baby boomers or Gen X are going to be probably a little bit more hesitant to say, hey, work is a place that's very serious and we need to stay focused on the job at hand. I think the trick is figuring out how do you enable experiences to be customized or tailored to meet those preferences in such a way that you can have multiple generations working in the same platform.
There's also a tactical reason for all this gaming. You may have guessed it.
Yeah, one of the things that's obviously related to gamification is artificial intelligence and machine learning and how business users and actually consumers in general will start to think about actually leveraging those technologies. As people start to understand the utility, they will be more willing and open to leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning to help them do their work.
And Ferrell says the biggest change ahead is not in holding a joystick, but in using our voice.
Maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years, but I can certainly envision a day when your interactions at work are mostly talking to your computer and think of it almost like a lightweight digital assistant that is omnipresent, if you will, right? You're not opening your calendar app to check your calendar. You're asking, maybe it's Alexa, hey, what's my next meeting, Alexa? Where am I supposed to be? Hey, where are we at on that proposal that is due next week? I think as we start to get that knowledge and we start to get that permission from our users to understand what they're trying to do, we'll be able to take that next step to say, well, let me tell you about some best practices that may help you do that even better.
But even if we can use gamification to improve motivation for a range of employees and jobs, there's still concern that technology like this might isolate us even further. Keisha Howard.
We all sort of have this understanding that to work well together, we need to have some personal contact. So when people work remotely or when everything is just digital, you miss a lot of context. You miss a lot of the human experience that comes with communication.
Howard says that gaming in virtual worlds, however, might be able to help us preserve some of this human experience, even as we work at a distance from our colleagues.
People can see expression and body language in VR, and you're using more of your senses, and you're not just like typing words on a screen with an emoji, but you're actually seeing some sort of representation of an individual that has a little bit more communicative language, whether it's body language, whether it's tone, whether it's, posture. We use all of that to determine how a person feels about different things and to determine if a person is comfortable with different things.
And while gaming can cause a certain type of isolation, she says it also creates a different type of communication. A more sophisticated one.
I've noticed when I see people like playing a game like Destiny, for example, and a group of individuals have to solve elaborate puzzles. and use a lot of different strategy. And they do this all online, and they might not even have to know each other's names or know how the other person looks or where they live or any of these things. But they're in this digital virtual world, and they're all placing a lot of importance on collaboration, working together, solving problems in a way that I don't see often in even, real life scenarios when we are face to face.
As today's gaming generation enters the labor market, they really are helping to reinvent it. Companies and their staff alike are already tackling disengagement with gamification all around us. And in the future, we may spend as much as a quarter of our lives in these virtual worlds, completing tasks under the surface, not worrying if we fail, and learning useful team skills along the way. That is, if we don't look up a cheat code online. In the next episode of The Future of X, we're going to further explore the types of teams and collaboration that will define the future of a workforce currently housing 5 different generations.
And if you can harness it, you've got this cognitive diversity that you can really deploy.
Will companies move from headhunting to team hunting? And what will this mean for current corporate hierarchies and workflows? That's next week on The Future of X. The Future of X is produced by OZY in partnership with Smartsheet. I'm your host and OZY's managing editor, Faye Schlesinger. Derek Clements is our producer and editor. Sean Braswell is our lead writer. Anna Davies and Shannon Williamson are our editorial producers. Rob Koulos is our executive producer, and Tracy Moran serves as deputy editor. For this week's future tip, don't ask me, ask Alexa or Siri or Google or whichever intelligent assistant you have at your beck and call. The more you use these smart devices and the more you pay attention to how you're communicating with them, the more powerful their tools and applications become. Remember, this is machine learning at its core. The way most of us currently communicate with Siri is similar to when we used to open up a browser and type http, etc., www.ask.com, and then type a full question. It was mind-blowing for those of us who remember it. But now we just open any browser we want, type the letters RESU, and the AI autofills it to a resume template. Try different approaches when you speak to your voice assistant, so both it and you can start to learn each other's vernacular and communicate more clearly.